All right, so James Hype dropped this new video called Why You're Not Successful Yet. And I really like James Hype videos because it's not just him uploading his DJ sets and his songs. He actually just talks about what it's like being this essentially superstar DJ, and he shares these very interesting life tips. So anyway, let's see what he has to say in this video here.
Sometimes it feels like you're going around in circles, trying as hard as you can, but not making any progress. I've been trying to make it as a DJ for almost 20 years, so
Jeez.
Trust me, I know. But this applies to anyone, no matter what your goal is. Anyway, I think I've figured out the truth to finding success.
Tell me.
I'm going to share it with you. So someone asked me a question on a Q&A the other day. They said, what was it that made you progress so fast? Was there a standout moment that
Well, it couldn't be that fast if it was 20 years, but I guess from the onlooker of a bystander, I guess it does appear to be fast, but 20 years, that's a long ass time.
made you progress so fast in the last couple of years? And it made me think, I'd have never really thought about this before. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized everyone needed to hear this answer. Picture the starting line of a marathon. There's thousands of people all around you. That's where you are when you start out chasing success. And everyone's there getting ready to run. Everyone's just trying to fight for their own space. The race starts and you go for it. You give it everything you've got, but you're still just one of the pack. There's too many people around you.
Yep.
You can't break through. You keep running and the people start to spread out. Some of them have actually quit. They just couldn't bring themselves to carry on running anymore.
I've been there.
But you keep going, mile after mile. 10 miles go by, and now you've got space around you. You're running at the same pace you were at the start. You're using the same amount of effort, but now every step seems to count more. You're just that little bit closer to the end. Everything matters. After 20 miles, more and more runners have dropped out. You're looking around you, and there's not that many people left. And suddenly you think, shit, I might actually have a chance of winning this thing. But the crazy part is, you're not a better runner than any of those other people who were there at the start. You just never quit. You never even gave yourself the option to quit.
Damn. That's a really good point. Shit. If you don't quit, it's pretty hard to fail if you don't quit. It's a good message so far.
The effort hasn't changed. The pace hasn't changed. But now every step counts so much more. The people either side of the track are cheering for you. You're the hero. Go on, you can do it. About 10 years ago, I started my marathon. I started taking my craft seriously, like really seriously, working every day. I'd wake up in the morning, work, get feedback, work some more, make revisions, work some more. I found the thing that I would do all day, every day until it killed me. I was making...
See, I feel like that's a key point here, is that it's not only doing something consistently over a long period of time, but Homeboy worked all day, every day, and revising as he went through. And that's just not something that a lot of people, one, have the ability to do, like me for having a full-time job, or two, have the stamina to do, because that is really hard because it becomes not fun at that point. And I think obviously he probably knows that and he was able to proceed with it. But yeah, that's a difficult journey.
Making music 8 hours a day and DJing all night. The amount of work that I was putting in was crazy, but I wasn't being heard. Nobody cared. Nobody would show up to my DJ sets. Nobody would listen to the music. At times it was frustrating, but every so often the universe would throw me a bone and just give me something that would give me that glimmer of hope.
Yep.
So I kept running. Fast forward, 10 years later, I release a song and it gets millions of streams. Thousands of people show up to watch me DJ, and millions of people watch my videos online. But the big secret is, I'm not working any harder than I was when nobody cared.
Well, you're working pretty fucking hard if you're going all day, but I guess I see your point.
I'm not doing anything differently, but everything I do now has so much more impact. People are interested, people care. The effects of compounding are insane. Compounding on skills, compounding on reputation, and compounding on reach. But compounding takes time and consistency. Sure, there are some lucky shots along the way, but fortune favors the brave, and you get a lot luckier the harder you go.
Damn. That was a...
There's not that many.
That was a good video. The interesting thing is that just like anything, there is no secret to getting successful with things. And I've dealt with this exact thing because I started music production in 2020 and I went full steam ahead as far as what I was able to do at the time, because at that time I again was struggling a full-time job, but every day I would come home and I would work on music, and I did that for 2 years, and I gained some traction at the time, at least in terms of relatively speaking. I would get maybe 50 to 100 views on a song I would put up, which is, comparatively to zero, better than that. But the process was so slow, and frankly, I was really invested on trying to make it full time, right? That was my big thing in 2020. It was to, how do I break into the music industry and how do I get this to be a full-time thing? And I failed to realize that it is exactly as James Hype said, it is a marathon and certainly not a sprint. This dude spent, well, in one segment he said 20 years, another he said 10. Regardless, 10 to 20 years this dude has been crafting music, DJing, and now he's finally able to be successful. And that is a very interesting thing. And I think that's why a lot of people can't attain success. I think it's kind of for a couple of reasons. Is that one, if you're trying to do something for some ulterior motive, you're not going to have the consistency and the dedication to see it through. And that was my case when I did it in 2020. I had the ulterior motive to try to get money from my music and to sustain it into this full-time career. And while I enjoyed music, I was doing it for this ulterior motive, as opposed to what I'm doing now, which is truly just trying to get better just for the process of doing so. But the other thing is that you have to love it as well. And so I think that's why a lot of people quit as well, is they'll do music because they think it looks cool. It's something that they see their favorite artist or their favorite DJ, and they're like, hey, I want to do that. I want to be just like James Hype. And so they go and they do that, and then they realize, oh, this is hard. Or they might even realize like, this isn't actually something I really love to do. And, I think a lot of people fall out from it from there. But it's just really interesting to see because, I started back on my music journey. I've kind of ebbed and flow throughout a very long time. And I just started at the beginning of this year to get back into it, where I took a 2-year hiatus to do something completely unrelated. And so it's just very interesting to think about, if I stick with this, and I want to, and I plan to, if I stick with this and I'm consistent with it. Now, I'll be honest, I don't do it every single day, but I do it on most days of the week, whether it's trying to practice my DJing or trying to write my next song. If I'm consistent with that, where will I be in 10 years? Because to think about the progress that I've made in the past, well, as of recording this, it's April, to think about the progress that I've made in the past 4 months is pretty damn wild. Especially because I'm embarking on a genre that I've never really made before. I've never made house music prior to 2025. It was all mostly indie pop music and some pop punk kind of music. It was not house at all. And to think about what I've learned just in 4 months of time is staggering. So again, extrapolating that out, just as James Hype talked about, that compounding interest over time, to think about if I stay consistent. And frankly, for you watching this who are interested, if you stay consistent for 5 to 10 years, holy shit. I think, I've heard multiple people talk about this very thing, that there isn't really some breakthrough moment to being successful. It's just having the wherewithal, the dedication to just keep doing the same thing over and over again, and also to get feedback. That was one thing that he mentioned that I think is often overlooked, is getting feedback on things. And frankly, I need to do a better job of doing that. But get feedback on things and improve upon that. Because if you keep churning out the same thing and you don't get feedback on anything, then you're never going to improve to a great degree. But if you put something out, you see what people think, and then you tailor it and you refine it and you keep going forward. I mean, that's at least the process that makes sense to me and what I'm going to be trying to do. But yeah, good video. Like I said, I love James Hype videos. I mean, I think I think a lot of people give him a bunch of shit, and I just don't understand why. I get that he does a lot of like flashy things on his DJ decks that maybe some people find to be obnoxious, but I mean, the dude has worked hard. The dude has grinded. He's seeing his success, and I think people honestly just are throwing shade simply for that reason alone. And you know, maybe that's another sign that you've made, is when people start bashing you. I don't know. It seems to be the more successful you get, the more haters that you get. And certainly James Hype has a lot of people that love his stuff, but he also has a lot of people that just don't really don't like him, or even hate him for that matter. But anyway, I think that's all I got for this video. If nothing else, it inspires me to just keep grinding on. Actually, not even grinding's not a very good word. To just keep pushing forward and keep improving. And hopefully you do the same, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.